Okay, mic check. Monday. Monday. I can't even talk this morning. All right, can you all hear me? All right, we'll start in a minute. Okay, welcome everyone, and good morning, and welcome to the Pro Trader and Plus U.S. retail sales. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director at 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay, hopefully everybody can hear. If you can't, I would not have a way of knowing, but you should be able to see the screens. And I want to thank anybody out there who's watching us on YouTube. All right, right now, gold. So you got to be a little bit careful today on your instruments because Ninja sent the rollover notice for the NQ. So, the YM, the NQ, the ES, and all the micros, in theory, are rolling over, but the volume is still much higher on the old contract rather than the next contract. If you look at least it was an hour ago. If you look at the ES 325 versus 625, it's still significantly higher volume. I don't love trading on rollover day. So, on this particular trade, I don't have index trades that I'm trading. I'm trading gold. The trap trade on retail sales has been the preferred method for a long time. It's not like 1 or 2 months, but it's been since I can remember. So the trap trade is the preferred setup on retail sales. There's always risk in any trade. The risk to a trap trade is always if the news is so far off from the forecast, then it can create a move in one direction only. So that's always a potential issue on a trap trade. Fortunately, most of our trap trades don't suffer through that. Now I'm just on the secondary trap trade is a problem for many of you because prop companies are not allowing bonds. So if you don't have a cash account, most people can't trade the bond setups. So it is what it is. The gold trap trade is my favorite setup for this report. And secondary trade is bonds. Retail sales is one of those trades that every instrument can move on this report. So it can be one of those reports that can be tricky to decide what instrument to trade. In our case, because we've been trading gold as a trap trade for so long, there's really not an issue or a choice. So let's take a look at the DMM. And we did make a slight modification to the DMM. We've been seeing a little bit smaller moves, but in this current market, we didn't want to shrink the trap in a way that would create more risk. So what we did was shrunk the first tier and increase the second tier. And if you want to reduce risk, you can just trade the second tier. What's the worst that happens if you trade just the second tier? The worst that happens is maybe you won't get filled, but by no means is that the end of the world. It just means your trade doesn't activate because you don't get filled. You could trade the ES, but I don't have a setup for it, Deepak. It's as I said, almost every instrument could move on this report. We had been testing an ES trap trade. The breakouts, they've been real whippy. I'm not going to give anybody a breakout setup for the ES, even though, look, today could be a breakout for all. There's no way I can guarantee anything. In October, we had a breakout for all. What does it mean when there's a breakout for all? It means the euro had a breakout, the yen had a breakout, ES had a breakout, NQ had a breakout. And interestingly, the gold trap still worked. That's what's fascinating. When we create a trap trade, we create a zone of safety. So let me pull up the DMM. So here's our DMM for US retail. And last month, we didn't get filled by just 2 ticks. Oh my goodness. And it was an amazing trap trade. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Now, I would substitute ZF on this report. ZF 625. Same setup is fine. You could use a stop of 20 if you want to on ZF. I think 15 should be fine. We have tiers. So to choose a trap trade setup, you're going to right click the chart and click on strategies. I'm going to double click trap trade. The first thing I'm going to change is activate, and that's going to be 8/29/55. And the stop is going to be 25. And then we have 2 tiers, 45 to 47 or 70 to 73. The history of the trap trade, by tradition, we have a range when we pick the tiers. I'm going to use 45 on my tier 1. You could use 46 or 47. Any of the 3 are acceptable. And I'm going to use 73 on my outer tier. If you're going to trade just one tier to reduce risk, then you would just trade the outer tier. That would be the only one you trade. The stop would be the same. And then I'm going to trade this in my Bullinox account. I'm going to label it GC Trap. And that's the setup. That's all you have to do to set up a trap trade. You're only adjusting the activate entry, which is the time the orders go on the chart, 5 seconds before the news, a 25 stop. Tier 1 is 45 ticks. Tier 2 is 73. Choose your account, label the trade, all right? And then you apply it and you okay it. Now I'm going to also save a template, today's date, retail, GC gold and today's date 3/17/25. Save. That way when I come back next month I can look and see the way that we traded this. If I was going to trade MGC, I would increase the stop probably to 40. I would probably increase it to 40. You can always shrink it. That's the big thing. You can always shrink the stop. All right. For our cash traders out there, if you want to set up a bond trade, so don't forget, let me just backtrack. Don't forget to enable the trade. After you okay it, apply an okay, you have to enable it. Check the checkbox so that the trade will trigger. Okay? That's what triggers the trade. ZF is ZF space 0625. Right click the chart, click on strategies. News Trader Pro, double click. Breakout is the trade type. 8:29:58 is our trigger time. Our bracket is 6. Targets anywhere between 8 and 20 is okay. Anywhere between 8 and 20. And then the stop is 15. We have a feature in our software. If target 1 is hit, you can move the stop automatically. So I would move my stop to break even -4, -3, -5, somewhere in there. And then you scroll down to the account. I'm just watching bonds. I'm only trading the gold trap trade this morning. And then I'm going to label it BRK ZF. It's a breakout for ZF. And I'm going to set the time for a moment at 0 to look at the brackets on bonds, apply it and okay it. Put the charts on sim so they match the software. Let me just fix something. One of my indicators, I have 2 indicators by accident. Let me get rid of it. Let me fix my net change display. It's on ticks, bottom right. Okay. When I enable a trade that has 0 as the time, it'll trigger the brackets right now. As soon as there's price movement, it needs price movement to calculate the bracket. Okay, they're a little big, so I'll shrink them, and that's a perfect manageable bracket. You can turn off the trade by clicking the X on a breakout trade or uncheck the enabled box, breakout ZF. That's why we labeled the trade, so you can see the different trades named. And then I'm going to right click, go back to strategies, and put the time back on correctly. 8:29:58 is when I'm going to trigger the bonds. Apply it, okay it, and now enable it. So we have 2 trades set up. We've got our breakout trade set up, and we have our gold trap. And look at the way gold has been selling off. Wow. It made a new high all morning, over 3,000. That's pretty amazing for gold. It's been making new highs all morning since 5:30. The magnet took place. You had to get up real early to get that magnet trade this morning, but it was a beauty. It was perfect. Gold just started trending up, 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 up. Really, if you're looking at the price action, 5 a.m., I'm not quite ready to start trading magnets at 5 a.m. It's a little bit early for me. Now I've got two indicators by accident on both charts. Let me fix it. Remove. Net change display is the indicator. For gold, if gold is pretty volatile, I put net change display on points and I look at it on the bottom right. When I was here before, gold was up more than $4. Now it's down over $1. It's pretty volatile. Pretty volatile. Let's look at a previous retail sales trade. So this is one of the most important news events of every month. If you understand the American economy, then you understand that consumers drive something like 70% of the economy, at least. Consumer spending is such a big part of our economy. So that's why it's so, so important. Last month, let's see what we got going here. When I look at the way we were trading last month, almost exactly the way we're trading today. A little bit smaller on the tiers today, but the zone of safety is the same. And I'll explain the zone of safety right after we look at this video. So in February, we had bonds on the right, gold on the left. The news comes out. Our orders are on the chart, and we missed getting filled by two ticks. Two little ticks, and it was a fantastic reversal. Bonds had a pretty quick burst. Watching bonds on the right. Use tier 1. It's not a bug in the software, TJ. Just use tier 1. That's the way to do it. Tier 1. It's not a bug. It's just when you do one tier, just because we're calling it 2, right? The software, you're just trading 1. So you can't do the second tier without the first. You don't have to put it in tier 2. That's just our label, right? So anybody, what TJ is saying, he's trading just one tier. So you use tier 1, not tier 2. It won't let you put an order in the second place because we're only trading 1. It all makes sense in the end. That's the truth. Let's watch bonds again. I was distracted there. Watching bonds. I hope everybody, that was a good move on bonds. That was absolutely a good tradable, profitable bond trade. Everybody should go to the website www.time.is and make sure that you have your computer in sync. Time.is puts your computer in sync. For new people, don't forget there is a file folder in the trade room. There's a file folder. There's a lot of useful files in there. There are two programs that will help you sync your computer. D4 Time and PT Sync. They're interchangeable. You only need one of them. And there's some lessons in there. There's a video how to set up your charts exactly like ours if you want to. Now, on the trap trade, a lot of people don't even know what a trap trade is. A trap trade is a trade where we expect to go the opposite direction. If the market moves up, we're going to sell it. And that's how we're going to make our profit. we do a lot of research before every event. The gold trap trade, it has what we call a spike sheet. And the spike sheet shows how much did this report spike on the news? Would our settings keep us safe? The way that you can get, and we have what we call a zone of safety. Our zone of safety is the number of ticks the market can spike without stopping us out, or before it stops us out. So our zone of safety today, we use tiers of 73 and a stop of 25. Add those two together and you have 73 and 25 is 98 ticks. If gold's move is less than 98 ticks and more than 45, will get filled. If the move is 100 ticks, we'll get stopped out. And I know what a lot of people are thinking. Well, why aren't you trading a gold breakout? Lots of times gold breakouts are very whippy. Sometimes they work. We also sometimes create a breakout spike sheet. And you could see that bonds have had very nice moves on this report. Not gigantic, but tradable profits. 12 ticks in February, 12 ticks in January, 8 ticks in December, 15 ticks in November. This was available profit above and beyond the spike, the bracket. So bonds have been tradable, nicely tradable on this report. And then just remember also that this is the kind of report any instrument can move dramatically. Any instrument. But we're trying to pick what we feel is the best instrument to trade on the event. Now, just going over the trap trade one more time. Right click the chart, click strategies. Position size 1 is a 1. That means we have one contract for tier 1. Position size 2 is a 1. That means we have one contract for tier 2. Activate the trade. When do our orders go on the chart? 8:29:55 Eastern Time. You should be using your local time, unless for some reason your computer is set to a different time. Otherwise, you don't use my time unless you're in East Coast time. If you're in California, you're 5:29:55. That's your local time. Our tiers are 45 and 73. Our software has an automatic adjust on the stop. It makes the stop safe. So our stop is 25. The software is saying it should be 30. It just does it automatically, so you don't have to think about it. You can just type in what you feel you want to use as the stop. In a trap trade, you can move your stop. In any trade, you might wind up moving the stop. Stops are movable, all right? They're not in stone. Our tier 1 is 45, tier 2 is 73. Choose an account that you're trading in. Label the trade. GC trap. That's what I'm labeling it. Then you have to apply it and OK it and enable it, and it will be ready to trade. Okay? Now, you don't want your orders. If you set the time to 0 on a trap trade, which you can do, you can see where your tiers will line up. If you wanted to do that, you could. Now, make sure that your chart is on the right chart or you won't see your orders. I'm having an issue with my Bullnox. I'm going to have to reboot my platform right now. I can't believe it. All right. And I'm going to actually reboot again. Sorry. Getting some strange Ninja Trader behavior this morning. I've got 5 minutes. Okay. Everything looks better. Let me turn on my connection. And I may trade this in my Apex account because my Bullinox is not acting properly. So let me fix this. I'm just going to put my strategy on my Apex account. Choose the account. Apex. Apply. OK. Put my charts on Apex. Got my bond breakout. Apex looks like it's working fine. Put my time back to 8:29:55. 8:29:55. And then I'm going to set up a quick reverse continuation strategy. News Trader Pro. Reverse continuation. One position. 20 ticks. Zeroing out everything else. 20 stop. Not going to even consider trading that unless the trap trade is over. And I'm going to label it REV. I'm going to leave it at that. Apply it, OK it, and enable it. So I have buttons for my Apex. Yeah, Bullinox is down. My Bullinox was not working. Matt, thank you so much for that because I thought it was me, and that's why I rebooted. There's a problem with Bullinox, everybody. So I'm using my Apex, or you can trade cash. Okay? And we will be back at 11:30. We have two events this morning. We have the NOPA Crush report. Hey, we only have 2.5 minutes. So one thing I don't like about Apex, I need to change the color because it comes up with the sim color and it drives me crazy. All right. So remember, a trap trade, you want to see your buttons. Break even, close the trade, adjust the tiers we don't use, cancel the outer tier. Very important button. If you're trading the trap, and you should see the combine button as well. Otherwise, your chart is not wide enough. Not wide, okay? If you only get filled one order, one tier, and you get a good reversal, and you want to move your stop to safety, the second tier will be in the way, and you have to cancel the outer tier so you can move your stop to safety. Remember that. Your targets can still get hit in a very fast moving trade, so you don't have to panic and go get worried. that everything's going to get goofed up. It won't get goofed up. But if you need to manually manage the trade, if it doesn't hit your target right away, you will want to cancel the outer tier if it doesn't get filled. So remember with a trap trade, when you have a move up, we sell. A move down, we buy. And it's interesting. I don't usually test the trap trade before the trade. I would not have known that Bull and Ox was down. I don't usually test the platform. It's so reliable. Things are generally so reliable. I don't usually test the trap trade platform. It's very unusual for that to happen. Okay, there's our orders, perfectly set up. Now, the news is lower than expected, and we're not getting a good move at all. Bonds did a whip, absolutely did a whip. Gold, just no response, really. Um, I would give it a minute to fill. If it fills to the downside, the truth is, folks, this is not the right trade. I would probably cancel by unchecking your enabled box. This should be canceled. It's just not the right move. I don't want to let it dribble and fill. It should be canceled. I usually wait a full minute. It just didn't respond well to the news. So I would cancel this trade. Uncheck the box. It cancels the trade. Bonds did not respond well, although they almost hit that first target, it looked like. I'm just watching gold. It might have been today that the indexes worked better. Turn off your breakout trade on bonds. The news. Now, we also traded with Empire State Manufacturing, which not a super impactful report. However, the news result was unbelievably unexpected. It was terrible, terrible news. And then retail sales were pretty much, it looks to me like overall as expected on the core and down on month over month. Down on month over month. So pretty negative, it looks like, from what they were expecting. And I'm quite surprised we just didn't get a very tradable move in gold. But we really have been seeing some strange behaviors over the past couple of weeks in trades. So no money made, no money lost on the main setup, which would have been the trap trade. We'll look at the video in a minute on bonds. Yeah, bonds did not work, but I did not want really, I wasn't going to trade bonds in our cash account. If I'm not trading in a cash account, our second setup, then it really tells you that, I'm not risking cash. I traded it in sim. Okay. Gold, I traded for real. I was willing to trade the trap trade for real in our prop account. Now, I want to thank everybody on YouTube for watching us. I'm going to close out our YouTube stream. Thank you, and we'll be streaming the FOMC on Wednesday, so come back on Wednesday, everyone. Hit the like button on your way out, and thank you for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. So we'll see everybody